especially considering she's a rising star in the Democrat Party right now.
She is a rising star. It's quite something to behold, actually. I hope that she continues to be a rising star.
Jasmine just received a much-needed reality check for some of her recent remarks, and she's certainly not the only one under scrutiny. Karine Jean-Pierre also faced intense criticism during a press briefing, weathering the heat with equal force.
I think that's the same individual who said from this podium numerous times that the commander-in-chief was mentally and physically up for the job, which we knew was a lie.
That's why today, we're revisiting the moments when Caroline didn't just respond, she came out swinging and left her critics in ashes. So buckle up, this is going to be one fiery ride.
She said, I believe, that Trump supporters are mentally ill before calling for bipartisan support against the president. Can you respond to that, especially considering she's a rising star in the Democrat Party right now?
She is a rising star. It's quite something to behold, actually. I hope that she continues to be a rising star for the Republican Party, at least. I think it's incredibly derogatory to accuse nearly 80 million Americans of mental illness. The last time I checked, Jasmine Crockett couldn't dream of winning such a majority of the public as President Trump did. And the America First movement, which President Trump has built, is filled of hardworking patriots, the forgotten men and women, business owners, law enforcement officers, nurses and teachers, and middle America, as we all know, from where you all grew up, outside of this beltway. That's who makes up this president's movement. And Jasmine Crockett should go to a Trump rally sometime and she can see it for herself.
She's absolutely right. Jasmine's political commentary is so superficial, it borders on performance art. What's more troubling is how predictable it's become. Just another echo of the same playbook we've seen from Democratic figures before. Think back to Hillary's basket of deplorables or Biden's offhand remarks branding half the country as garbage. Once career-ending gaffes are now brushed aside without consequence. It's no longer just political strategy, it's the new normal, where divisive rhetoric gets a free pass, so long as it comes from the right people. Up next, Jerome Powell lands in the hot seat, and Caroline isn't coming empty-handed. She brought receipts.
I would remind the Fed chair, and I would remind the entire world, that this is a president who was a businessman first, and he knows what he is doing. He has a proven economic formula that worked in his first term as president, and it is working again. The one problem that remains is high interest rates for the American people. The American people want to borrow money cheaply, and they should be able to do that. But unfortunately, we have interest rates that are still too high. So the president sent this note to the Fed chair today. And if you look at this chart, this is a chart of all of the interest rates of many countries throughout the world are all paying lower interest rates than the United States of America, which has one of the hottest and strongest economies in the world. The president sent this note to the Fed chair. It says, Jerome, you are as usual too late. You have cost the USA a fortune and continue to do so. You should lower the rate by a lot. Hundreds of billions of dollars are being lost and there is no inflation. And the president is right. There is historically low inflation thanks to his policies.
It all started when Powell doubled down on interest rates, even going so far as to blame Trump's tariffs for his decision. The backlash was swift, and it's only getting louder. Calls for his resignation are gaining serious momentum. Plenty of voices have weighed in, but none hit quite like Caroline. She brought the receipts, quoting the president himself, and dismantled Powell's stance with surgical precision, but even that was just the warm-up. What happened next? A CNN journalist got absolutely scorched for reporting on so-called intelligence leaks.
Said that the DIA report was low confidence intel. Can you share what other assessments are currently underway to get to the bottom of just how effective these strikes were?
Yes, well, I can assure you what the CIA director said, that when we look at the entirety of the intelligence that we have to this date, it concludes that these strikes on the Iranian nuclear facilities were absolutely successful. It was a total obliteration, as the president said, and not only does our own intelligence say that, but also the Iranian foreign minister has said that. We saw Israel conclude the same thing based on their own intelligence. We also had the United Nations say that as well. So I think the only other time the United Nations, Israel, Iran, and the United States has agreed on something is that the sky is blue, but they all agree that Iran's nuclear facilities were completely demolished.
Think about it. No credible agency would ever hand over genuine intelligence to the media, especially on something as delicate as the Iran situation. These assessments are classified for a reason. And yet, right on cue, CNN published multiple reports claiming leaked intel showed the mission had failed. The story took off like wildfire, even though the foundation was shaky from the start. In response, the Pentagon and FBI launched an investigation into the leak, emphasizing that the reports were based on low-confidence intelligence. In plain terms, the credibility was weak from the beginning, but that didn't stop it from being packaged and sold as fact.
But I believe the FBI is investigating to find out who that leaker was, because it's illegal and they should be held accountable for that. Leaked bits and pieces of an intel assessment to push a false narrative. And it's to the same reporter, I will add, Natasha Bertrand of CNN, who has done this in the past. In 2020, it was Natasha Bertrand who had 51 intelligence analysts falsely lie to her, but she still put it on paper for some reason, that the Hunter Biden laptop story was Russian disinformation. We all know that's not true, right? We can all agree on that now. That was a lie from the intelligence community. And so this is a reporter who has been unfortunately used by people who dislike Donald Trump in this government to push fake and false narratives. She should be ashamed of herself. And that's not what reporting is. Journalism is trying to find the facts and the truth. And this week we saw this same reporter being used to push a fake narrative to try to undermine the President of the United States, and more importantly, the brave fighter pilots who conducted one of the most successful operations in United States history.
She's absolutely right. Journalism today has become a race to be first, not to be accurate. The faster a story spreads, the more clicks, and with clicks comes ad revenue. But in that mad dash to break the news, the facts are often left behind. Then these same legacy outlets act shocked when their ratings plummet and public trust disappears. The solution isn't complicated: report the truth, and maybe people will start trusting the media again. Up next, Caroline lands some sharp jabs at her predecessor after KJP bizarrely compared current press access rules to those in North Korea.
Your predecessor, Karine Jean-Pierre, who presided over many novel press access restrictions, criticized the recent changes to the press pool made by your office. She said in an interview, quote, "What we're looking at is what North Korea is doing." What's your response to that? And can you say anything to allay concerns that unfavorable coverage will be punished in this new press pool system?
I think that's the same individual who said from this podium numerous times that the commander-in-chief was mentally and physically up for the job, which we knew was a lie. Many people in this room knew it was a lie. Many of you were admonished for asking questions about that truth. So when it comes to truth and transparency, this administration, this White House is setting the example. This president is taking far more questions than his predecessor, Joe Biden, did on a daily basis, and that will continue.
It's more than a little ironic hearing Karine Jean-Pierre speak about freedom of the press, considering what's unfolded under her watch. During her tenure as press secretary, more than 440 journalists lost access to the White House press pool. On top of that, reporters were often required to submit their questions in advance, completely defeating the purpose of a live, unscripted press briefing. And whenever a topic veered off script or got even mildly uncomfortable, it was quickly dismissed. So when she talks about defending the press or upholding free speech, it's hard to take those words at face value.
President Macron of France earlier today said that tariffs levied by powerful countries are often a form of blackmail, and criticized the sort of process that's underway. He didn't mention the United States specifically, but said that these tariffs are really hurting developing countries. So there's this big UN conference going on. What do you say to that?
I think the president and the White House would certainly reject that characterization by Prime Minister Macron. Tariffs are an effective use of presidential power to bring back the middle class, to bring back our manufacturing industry, which was the backbone of our American economy and has been hollowed out by globalist politicians who have caved to foreign countries instead of doing what's right for American workers. That's why the president is effectively utilizing his authority to wage tariffs and to utilize tariffs, and continues to be in discussions and negotiations on trade to do what's right for America. And Europe and the rest of the world might not be used to that, but President Trump is back in town and he's going to do what's right for our people and our country.
Pardon my French, but Monsieur Macron is something else. This is the same leader who was recently pushing for the EU to take a hardline stance against China with a trade war. And let's not forget, many developing countries, especially across Africa, are still being hit with hefty tariffs, courtesy of France and the broader EU. So maybe hold off on the moral lectures, and save the grandstanding for your next wine and cheese summit. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop them in the comments below. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to share it with your friends. It really helps. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.